Greetings, YouTube. If you hear any sounds from outside, there are contractors working on my stairs. Um, Recently, Innuendo Studios did an excellent video on fascism, specifically white fascism. I recommend you go see it. It's a fairly long video. It's 22 minutes long, but it's well worth your time. Very informative, and it leads to a conclusion that I think that those of us who know me will not be surprised that made me smile when it was finally over. Um, One of the things that he brings up, and I apologize because I don't remember the man's name, um, is the concept of whiteness. Now, I don't think anyone in America would dispute that I'm white. But I've actually known people that were paler than me. In fact, I know a woman who's actually white. She's not an albino. She just never lets the sun touch her. She, like, when she's in public and there's sun out, she's using a parasol. She's a fabulous individual. And she's white. And it's a marvel to see the difference in it. It really is. I mean, I often joke that I'm the palest, I'm the whitest white boy that ever walked out of White Town, that if I were any paler, I would be translucent. But she's white. And it would also be hard to argue with the fact that if you were to look at, say, an Irish person, many Irish persons are very white, even whiter than me. But at one time, Irish people weren't white. Neither were Italians, for that matter, nor Spaniards. But today, if you were to ask your average American racist, your average American white fascist, if Irish people or Italian people or Spanish people were white, they'd say yes. Even though they themselves could be a darker hue than an Irish person, they would still consider themselves to be white. And of course, a lot of white people like to tan. Believe it or not, when I actually go out in the sun, which I avoid, though not to the extent where I wear a parasol, carry a parasol, I get rather dark. I get significantly darker when I tan. And yet I would still be considered white. So whiteness doesn't seem to be exclusively about the melanin content of your skin. Because again, at one time, Italian people, Irish people, and Spanish people weren't white. White racists were against them. No Irish allowed is not just a joke from films and television. It was a real thing. There was a time when racist caricatures were such that Irish people were considered less valuable than slaves. No one wanted them. It's one of the reasons many Irish guys went into police work, because no one wanted to be a cop. So it was a job that was open to them. Because they were just viewed as nothing but knuckle-dragging headbusters. But at least the cops are consistent. They're still knuckle-dragging headbusters. Whiteness changes. And whiteness isn't just about the color of our skin, the reflectivity of our tone, the number of melanin cells we have. Now, if you were to create a meter that could, you just put a color meter on someone's hands. Heck, I got a color meter right here in this phone. If you were to put that and measure every single person at exactly the same spot on their body, and you were to create a chart, you'd discover that whiteness is probably not necessarily connected to who's considered white and who isn't considered white. And if we were to ever achieve some ethno-state, which is what the racists want, after having exterminated every person that doesn't meet their nebulous whiteness definition, if everyone was gone except for the people they consider to be white, whatever that definition is, and however mobile it may be, that moving point on the wave of their racism, eventually the Irish people, and the Italian people, and the Spanish people would stop being white. Because fascism always needs an enemy. Always. You can always go to war with your neighbor, but internal enemies are better as well. They allow you to have much stricter codes and laws, allow you to take things from those you consider less deserving. And eventually, the Italians and the Irish and the Spanish would stop being white, and they'd be kicked out too. Even though the Irish are quite possibly the whitest of them all. And it would be lost on the racists. The white fascists wouldn't catch it. They wouldn't notice it, as they were throwing the whitest white people in the world into prisons or into boats and sending them back, or into ovens. That their melanin content was darker than the person they're killing. Because whiteness isn't about this. Whiteness is about the hatred and the racism, bigotry in there. It's about what's wrong with the white fascists, not what's going on out here in the real world. It's about power. It's about being able to look down on somebody else and say, I'm better than them. Whiteness is a moving target. It becomes anything the white fascists want it to mean. And it has no bearing on reality, because their beliefs have no bearing on reality. It's about power and hatred and bigotry. And there is no two sides to this argument. You are either resisting the white supremacy and the white fascism in America, or you are collaborating with it. This is a divide, folks. This is a razor's edge. You're on one side or the other. These are not fine people. And this is not open to debate. This is not something we should discuss. This is not a topic of conversation, of light dinner chat. It's the difference between fascism and freedom. So tell me, which side of the razor are you on? I want to know.